So the more I end up playing Tokyo Xtreme Racer on the PS5, the more I'm kind of getting the old school type of feeling with this game. And you know what? It is such a nice feeling. I'm not even gonna lie, guys. Also, funny part is when I boot up the game on the PS5, am I the only one that thinks the cover art for this game is fire, by the way? The one main photo for it. I kind of want to get a disc copy just to have the case for it, because it just looks fire. I mean, when you see that, you boot it up, you kind of get the overall old school vibes right away from it. It's amazing. Now, before you say anything, I am aware that this game is a big thing on PS2, or at least was anyway, and for some people it probably still is. We all do know they built upon what that game was for the PS5 version. You know what, dude? They absolutely nailed it. In fact, I am currently searching for the Tokyo Extreme copies for the PS2. I don't know if I can actually get them in the United States, at least easily anyway. I'll probably have to look around kind of hard for them, but I do at least have a PS2 that is working good, thank God, and I can also go and find the games for that. But either way, though, a few things I really noticed about this game that truly gives you like an old school feeling. For one, it didn't really have a crazy tutorial, right? A lot of racing games might give you like a jump into what's going on and stuff like that, but I did notice this game kind of throws you in there like the old games used to back in the day, and you kind of have to learn some of the mechanics, understand it, and the more you race, you'll figure things out, and I kind of like that. It's not like the entire game is constantly throwing things at you in a way, you know what I mean? It kind of goes, okay, well, here's the entire map, here's all the rivals you need to go, spawn where you want, explore where you need to. And speaking of that, by the way, this one might end up sounding a bit dumb, but kind of gets me in the old school type of feeling of how the old racing games on PS2 were, and also you could probably say part of the PS3 era as newer games kind of do it. But in the map here in Tokyo Extreme Racer, which obviously I could zoom out and show you all this, is way bigger than I thought for one. I actually thought the map in this game was way smaller. Like, I didn't realize all the highways that you could actually drive on, which is awesome. But I'm gonna admit, though, I kind of in ways like how they did end up designing the rivals in this game, on how, for one, you can head over to like the parking garages and race them, or race around the different areas and go find them, and also figure out if there's some you can't race. Like this one I can't race at the moment, and some of the others I also can't. But you can also drive around and go at your own pace, different routes. For me, I was kind of doing it in sections. I would kind of like spawn here and go around this entire side, and then try to get as many racers as I could, and then come around this way and try to like go back and forth on this direction and take out those racers. I kind of in ways enjoy how the game doesn't just have like a super bright thing on your map. You have to go there and do that, or you could kind of just take all of that at your own pace. I do like how they did end up doing that. And speaking of the entire flashy thing, guys, you know what I also like about this game? There is no crazy seasonal rewards hitting you in the face, bro. That is something I have to admit. We all do know most racing games nowadays have these seasonal, like, FOMO systems and all designed in there. Well, you know what? I like the old school way where none of that stuff was a thing, man, okay? I said it. I bet you other people would probably agree. And I would almost guarantee right now, if people are like, nope, get rid of battle passes, and I know this is kind of a touchy subject with some people and all that, which I get, but you know what though, I have to admit something that's kind of been on my mind a little bit recently, and playing Tokyo Extreme Racer kind of showed me this, and honestly hit me even more with it, is simply down to the fact, playing this game makes me, and also kind of shows me that, the live service model is kind of annoying at this point, or I had to say it, okay? The overall like 3 to 4 months of different things coming out, then they do end up giving you a little bit of content, and honestly I feel like that entire design might really not be working, which is probably not surprising. We can clearly see in most games nowadays the live service model always leaves a lot to be desired. Am I right, guys? Let me know if you want me to talk about that more, and also do let me know what y'all think about the live service model, because the funniest part is the more and more stuff that releases, and also more games that come out, it seems like a lot more people are not the biggest fans of it, at least from what I have been noticing. But I gotta admit though, being able to just jump in straight to racing rivals is honestly really fun in this game. I do like how they kind of kept it a simple yet really fun design. And speaking of that, guys, one more thing I had to point out. This might end up being kind of stupid, but am I the only one that likes the menu and the way this game is looking too? I like how you hit circle there and you can see the tuning, you can see the setting, aero, livery. Go over here and change parts on your cars if you want to. You can go click this and see the different parts and all that stuff as well. I know this might sound kind of dumb, but is anybody else kind of tired of how the menus of new games all kind of look similar, or something you'd see on Netflix or Hulu or something? I don't know what they're doing, bro, but we can all agree, though, that the menus on a lot of the newer games nowadays, they need to go a little bit, I think they need to go a little bit backwards, I think. And that's the thing, though. I don't know if I'm losing my mind or maybe it's just something I have been noticing the more I've been playing this game. But my goodness, though, can we go back to the older style of menus being kind of unique or a little bit different and not looking like a Netflix menu? Am I right? That is something I've really noticed about this game playing it. I love the simpleness of the entire menu, but it's not trying to be over the top or explain things, or it isn't kind of throwing everything at you like you're trying to find your favorite TV series. I don't know why so many games really are focusing on that nowadays, because really don't make any sense. But when playing Tokyo Xtreme Racer, the other part that kind of hit me with this, though, that really gives you the old school type of feeling. Now, first thing I want to say is I'm not saying new racing games are terrible. I feel like the overall design of how they do it, or like the approach they do in newer games, is honestly just different. That's the biggest thing. But what's kind of interesting about this, though, is if you were to play a brand new modern racing game, let's say Forza Horizon or even something like the Crew Motorfest, if you played one of those games and, played it for a few hours and, got rewards and all that stuff and played through them a bit, then jumped on Tokyo Extreme, you would definitely notice some differences. I gotta admit that. That's probably pretty obvious. Now, again, I'm not saying those games are bad because they do their own things well and they're modern. So, they take different approaches and do different things. But this game, though, if you were to play it after those, I bet you some people would not be a fan of it with how the game is a little bit slower paced, or it's not constantly just throwing things at you and all that. And the constant progression dopamine thing that we can see in modern games. Tokyo Extreme kind of has the slower progression dopamine to it. You know what I mean? Like, you have to jump in there, you got to play it for a bit. That is kind of the only way you might end up getting some of the better stuff, whereas on the other newer racing games, you could probably get things a lot easier where you might not have to do as much stuff, which, again, it kind of balances out. Let me know what y'all think about that, by the way, in the comments below, because I do know the entire progression thing in racing games has been such a big topic recently, which I understand that stuff. But what's funny, though, is playing Tokyo Extreme on the PS5, it really feels so dang good on a brand new system. You guys know what this makes me think about, though? Can we just imagine for a small second here, this game is obviously a revival from the old ones on the PS2. We all do know that, but imagine this for a quick second, though. Everybody is loving Tokyo Xtreme Racer. This game really gives off the old classic PS2 vibes for everybody I've seen so far. They love it. A lot of the people that played the old games are loving this one because it's obviously similar to those. Can you all imagine for a quick second, though, if other companies, EA, Rockstar Games, would bring some of the old racing games back? I do understand licensing and all that stuff could probably be a nightmare. And who knows, that could probably be the biggest reason why we don't see these old games coming back. But you know what's hilarious, though? This game proves that if these older games came back that EA and Rockstar made, Midnight Club, Need for Speed Underground 2, or Underground 1, Most Wanted, all these games came back to newer gen consoles, just update the graphics a little bit, put the games on there, I guarantee people would go absolutely crazy for them. Now, would that ever happen? Honestly, I really don't know if they would even do it with the entire live service model nowadays with how different things are designed in these games, but I could talk about that in a separate video. But besides that, let me go back before I'm getting a bit off topic about the entire, old racing games. But then again, though, Tokyo kind of made me think about it. I'm about to boot up my PS2 and play Midnight Club 3 again, just purposely because of this. That's the way this game is making me feel. And who knows, maybe some of that comes down to this game feeling just kind of refreshing on a new console. You know what I'm saying? Maybe the simplicity of it feels really good on how the game isn't super complicated. Maybe that's part of it. Is it also funny how this game being simple kind of stands out a lot now? Isn't that kind of funny, guys? Like, back then, these games probably looked normal, right? They probably felt normal with the menus, but nowadays, you see the menu of Tokyo Xtreme Racer and you think it's normal. Isn't that kind of crazy? Because it's not how the new modern games are set up with the menus. That's kind of wild to me, but we all could probably say Tokyo Xtreme Racer on PS5. To me, it kind of feels like a time capsule. It really does. Like, it almost brings you back to that point, and it's just truly amazing. I am so glad this game came out on PS5. It really hits you in so many different areas, and as I did say earlier, I'm not saying modern games are terrible or modern racing games are awful, but we can all agree, though, they have definitely taken an odd turn. And I think the more I play this game, it really does show me that a lot. Like, I'm not going to lie. when you are playing this, you're seeing the focus design of this game. It hits differently now compared to what the new modern racing games are doing. And honestly, who knows? Maybe we'll see more of this again with some new games. We all do know, what is it, Maverick Games or Lighthouse? I think they're both making racing games or something with like ex-developers from Forza and also like Codemasters or something. So who knows what might come with those? You know what I mean? Maybe those games will also scratch that like older type of racing game-ish that isn't copying a lot of the modern games, or maybe that game isn't trying to be a Forza Horizon, right? Maybe it's really trying to be itself. But I am curious, though, to know what y'all think about this. Are you also looking for that old school style PS2, even PS3 era games to come back? Are you kind of wishing for some new remasters of the old games? Is this game kind of making you go, dang, so this is what an old game looks like on modern hardware that's kind of updated and also better? It looks amazing, but also bring players back to the older days. It kind of really hits both sides of that. Do let me know what y'all think in the comments below. But so far, if you have been kind of on the fence of getting Tokyo Xtreme Racer on the PlayStation, honestly, dude, just get it. You will not regret it. The game is just pure, simple fun, and I kind of think more games need to follow this.